Hello everyone, and I hope you're all doing extremely well. So I'm working through my videos requested by you guys that you want done, and we've got to this one. This is to test the maximum intercept radius of all of the modern fighters, or intercept, well, the modern intercept fighters and the modern air superiority fighters. We might as well chuck in there as well, because that can be used for intercept as well, obviously. Not really looking at the old ones. Maybe we'll do that another day, but today just the modern, the end of the Cold War type era aircraft. So this is quite a big video, and I've been thinking about it for a week or so now, and how best we do this. And I've spoken to some, about the most reliable sources we can get. And so we're going to take it in stages. The first thing is we just want to agree on the armament of the aircraft. So I've got the aircraft here. They're all sitting on top of each other. That's quite a cool picture. I've just I just kind of noticed that for the first time. You've got the flanker overlaid with the 14, overlaid with the 15, overlaid with the 18, overlaid with the whatever. Hornet there. That's quite cool. Anyway, let's carry on. Right, so let's just click on the first thing that comes up. It's an F-14B. So in terms of armament and whatever this is going to say, payload, that's the best word, isn't it? So they're all going to have maximum internal fuel, obviously. And these are I'll show you the payloads now that I'm going to have for my theoretical intercept mission, long-range intercept mission, for testing out the maximum intercept range. F-14B, just your standard 4 Phoenixes, your fuel tanks, Sparrows and Sidewinders. I think we'd all agree with that. Maximum internal fuel. Next, we've got the F-15C. So I've just gone for an average of 6 times AMRAAMs, 3 tanks and 2 Sidewinders. I think we'd probably agree with that. Maybe you'd have 2 Fox 1s on there. I don't think it's going to make any difference really in terms of drag anyway. So we've got that there. Next, we've got F-18. So I've put... difficult, because I can have plenty of other missiles, because I can have 8 missiles and still have 3 tanks. I think you consider this as your long-range intercept with 3 tanks. Let me know if you disagree, but I think you've still got plenty of fighting power there. So that's what we'll do with the Hornet. We're assuming no air-to-air refueling on this test, by the way. Mirage. I believe this is the most efficient long range we can have. I know you can carry 2 other fuel tanks, but that means you can't carry your supers, which means you can't really intercept, I don't think. So I think we'd agree that's the best for the long range intercept. If you've got to shoot things down at the end of this, then I think probably that's the best. I know we're all going to argue about it, but that's what I think. What do we got? SU-27. Can't carry bags. I think it can in real life, but it can't in DCS. So just full missiles, basically, a full assortment of missiles. I think we'd all agree with that. Just check it can't carry bags, can it? No. Full fuel, obviously. MiG-29S. This is the tough one. Do we go with 3 bags or do we go with 1 bag? I was going to go with 1 bag because it gives us superior fighting power. But as this is the long-range intercept mission, we are testing out the maximum range intercept. Maybe actually this is good. It still gives us, as much, at least as much fighting power as the Mirage. It's a tough one. What do we go for? What do we go for? What do we go for? Ooh. Probably that, thinking about it. As we are doing max range intercept, and we've still got 4 missiles. I guess to make it fair, we should really go for that, shouldn't we? So I think we'll change to that. Let me know if you disagree, but I don't know. I'm not sure there's any right answer in this. Okay, that's that. Those I think are all of the modern fighters. I know there's a 33 technically, but it carries the same amount of fuel, I believe, as the flanker, and is heavier. So I don't think there's much point in doing that. Otherwise. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Right, so that is the armament. We're going to save that. So next we're going to look at how we're going to do the test. Well, one thing I could do is I could get in all of the aircraft, and I could get my armament as we've agreed, and I could fly out as far as I could possibly fly until I reach my bingo fuel, and then I could fly home. And then land, and that's something I could do, and I'm happy to do that. I mean, it wouldn't even take very long because I could just press the fast forward, put it in autopilot, press the fast forward button. I could do it, in a few minutes. And that's something I could do. And you might argue maybe that's the best way of doing it, but I thought, we'd do something a bit more interesting, something we could all get involved in a bit more. which is that we can test it out theoretically, or maybe we'll test it out theoretically and then do it practically. So the way we could do it theoretically is, so I've been talking to someone who is a real aviator. I'm not allowed to say who it is or what they do, obviously, for security reasons. But if I told you who it is, I think we'd all agree that this is pretty much the best person we could speak to, other than actually speaking to the real pilots of these aircraft, which just isn't feasible, or the real engineers, again, which isn't feasible. It'd be nice if it was, but it's not. So I think we've got the best data on this that we can get realistically, and the data is that the aircraft is going to, assuming it's a non-scramble, the aircraft is going to take off. All of these aircraft are going to take off. All of them are going to do full dry power up to their max efficient cruising altitude. The max efficient cruising altitude, we've agreed to keep the test completely fair and to have the same figures with all aircraft. We've agreed at ASL 32,500 feet. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to go any further into it than that, but that's what this person says, and I think that's the best data we're going to get realistically, other than talking to the pilot. So that's what we're going to do. Speed. We've agreed the best overall average for all of these considered, with the payloads and fuel considered, is going to be 290 KIAS. Won't go any further than that, other to say again, that's, I think, the best data we can get for an average test. And so what I figured we could do is we could do the climb in all of these aircraft and at mil power and measure how much fuel each of these burn on the climb. Then we can go at the cruise altitude and the cruise speed and then measure the fuel flow for these aircraft and measure the fuel flow. And then what we can do is we can calculate the theoretical intercept radius at that point of each aircraft, bearing in mind we're going to need a certain amount of gas to get home and for a divert base and stuff like that. We've agreed that all of the aircraft want to be wheels touching down back at this base here at with 600 kilos of fuel. We've determined that's a realistic operational, I mean it would vary because these have different burn rates, but with a twin engine fighter that we've looked at, a real wheels touchdown is going to be 600 kilos of gas left. So I'm happy to use that for all of these fighters, and that gives us a realistic FOG, fuel on ground, as it's called, bearing in mind that we would have a realistic divert and whatnot. So with those figures, we can calculate how far it can go and get back with a realistic amount of fuel. Now, the first thing you think, which is the first thing I thought when discussing this, is that, okay, that's fine, but once we get to the edge of our radius, we haven't got any fuel to fight, haven't got any fuel to, dogfight or whatever we're going to do, and that's true. But having discussed this, to work out the max theoretical intercept range, we're going to assume that no fuel is needed for a fight. Now, obviously, that's not realistic. If we reached the very edge of this radius, then yes, indeed, we wouldn't be able to fight. We could maybe launch a missile off and then turn for home. But for this test, I think that is still the best idea, to just go to the absolute maximum, assume no fuel needed for a fight, and then RTB with our set amount left when landing. Now, when measuring our average fuel burn up at cruise altitude and cruise speed, that is going to differ slightly depending where along the journey we are. If we're heavy with fuel here at 290 knots, then it's going to be much higher fuel burn rate than if we were on our return leg and we had, not much fuel left because less weight, less drag, etc. So what I figured we'd do for that, I mean, that's one argument why we should actually do this for real, actually fly the mission, because it would simulate that. But I think it would be accurate enough if when we take the figure for the fuel burn rate up at cruise, then we can take an average by having about half the amount of gas in the aircraft, and I think that will give us a sufficient average to work from in that case, to stay realistic. It's not going to be perfectly realistic, but it's not going to be a perfect model, but it's going to be okay, I think. And then the only other thing is we need to allow some fuel from the end of the cruise, coming down to land. We'll assume that the point where we finish our climb is also the point where we're going to start our dive down to base. I think, you know, that'll be okay. And we're going to allow some, work out how much fuel we need to get down from the descent point down to wheels on ground. And we'll probably just measure that with 1 or 2 of the fighters and get an average for that rather than testing every single one. It's going to be very low power all the way down that descent, so I think you're going to burn very little compared to the rest of the flight. We're going to assume that on the return leg we are returning with all of our missiles and our fuel tanks, because realistically in a non-emergency situation you wouldn't be dumping your fuel tanks like we do in DCS, because difference between real life and a game, obviously. And I assume you guys wanted to test this kind of more realistically than in DCS with us running around dumping our tanks. And it'll also be interesting once we finish this to test it with the real life claims of intercept radius as well and see how close we are. I imagine they are just formulated theoretically with a model kind of similar to this, but obviously more complicated. All the usual factors will apply. I'm not going to put any wind on. I don't want to pollute that. Like, if we really want to go into it, the temperature is going to be 20 degrees at sea level. Q and H is going to be what I call our standard 29.92. So that's all what I'd call my standards for DCS testing. I like to keep everything static like that. And that's it. That's all I can think of at the moment. So what we'll do is start testing in stages, and I'm going through, I'll video this as I go through it so you can see my workings, and then we can have a chat about it at the end. So let's get working with the first aeroplane. Okay, we're in the first plane. Let's go for it. Now, to make this video not 5 hours long, I've been doing some testing just before this run that I'm about to do here, and it's actually a bloody lot harder than it looks to do this. So I've worked out how to do the climb in the F-15 now. It's not what I thought. The climb is going to be different for each aircraft. Nothing we can do about that. Sorry, let me just get off the ground. Where's my mil power? There it is. You could argue maybe even in a non-scramble the F-15 would use reheat. 493rd RAF Lakenheath near me do use reheat even on ferries, but I don't really know what the answer is there, so up we go. I haven't flown this bird in a long time, so gear up, reduce that drag, flaps up, reduce that drag. So the natural instinct is now to climb up at 20 degrees or something like that, but it's just not possible. You can't even get to Angels 32 like that. You just stalled out of the sky. We've got to keep the speed around 300 on mil power. Is the only way I can get up to 32,000 feet. So what we're going to do is start speeding up now. I know this is calibrated. Where's my cursor? I know this is calibrated here, but it'll do for now. Near enough. So let me just speed up time. So I want to stick around 300 as it turns out. I mean, is it more efficient to do this in afterburner? I don't know. I don't think it is, because we are covering ground at the end of the day. Go in a straight line, man. Concentrate. We're nearly there now. 290 knots is what we want. I'm looking down at the bottom of the gauge of the screen. Come on. You can do it. What you don't want to do at this point is pull harder, because you just end up stalling the plane. It gets less efficient. Okay. We've just about made it there. We're leveling out there. We're going to get to 290 knots. No, stop. That's our climb done. Right. So now we need to measure. I know we didn't go perfectly in a straight line, but I think it's near enough. We did that in... Jesus, it took 85 miles to get up to altitude. Unbelievable. So I suppose you guys are going to argue now it would have been more efficient to do a zoom climb with afterburner. In fact, maybe we should go test that. In fact, maybe we will, I think. 85, so that's F-15 miles. And the fuel burn is 23,000 on the nose. So 23,000. I forgot what we start with, so I'll have to go and have a look at that. But we've got up to altitude. We've up to... Technically, we're not up to speed yet. We better actually carry on until we're up to speed, I suppose. Come on, baby. Speed up. Don't stall on me now. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, we are slowly increasing speed. So this is really hard to do. I just realised we're slightly above altitude, but what's 500 between friends. I think because we're above altitude, I think we'll count that as 290 knots. Right, so we are 22900. 22900. Okay. We're going to reset now. Just see what the starting fuel was. It is 25650. So let's go to the calculator. 25650 minus 22900. Oh, fuck's it. Yep. 27. So that burnt 2750 pounds. We're in pounds here. Gas over 85 miles. Now let's try a tactical climb. So this is a I don't really know the real words. It's what I call a tactical climb. It's what a real F-15 pilot told me as the most efficient way to scramble to altitude. Okay, so we're just going to do this. So this is afterburners on, by the way. And when I say efficient, I mean in terms of tactical, not in terms of gas mileage. But we'll test it anyway. So you go along the ground until Mach... Oh, God, I can't remember the figure. 9.6, I think? Something like that. Why can't I see my Mach? What am I doing wrong? There it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 9.6. Check we're clean. And we are. It's a big, heavy old bird, but once you get her going, she's a fast plane. Oh, I've got 3 bags on. No wonder I'm so heavy. I wonder I'm so slow, I mean. I might not even be able to get to Mach 9.6. God, it's loud in here. Hello. Upsy daisy. Now the pitch climb here doesn't actually really matter because the physics pretty much just work and even themselves out of whichever pitch you go at. So to make it quick, I'll go quite steep. So on a level of 20,000. And back down into a... we want to be at 0G here, I think, from memory. Is that the right thing to say? No, it's not, is it? Scratch that. You want to be at 5 to 10 degrees dive. Got to get to 0.96 again. Saying that because we're only going to 32 instead of 40, we can probably go a little bit less, so here we go. Shouldn't have been pulling G there, that was my mistake. Hold a bit early. Pretty much at altitude now. Let's look at the gas. Oh, you can see already we've burnt loads more off. So no, clearly this is not the most efficient way to do it. So that's the afterburner scratched out for this entire flight. Right, let's go and do it on a, well, whatever next really. My favourite, F-14, yay. Now I haven't had a chance to practice in this, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be similar to the F-15 in terms of if I go up steep, it's probably going to start stalling and becoming less efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to get mil power. We're going to keep it about 300 knots and just do the same thing with the F-15. I think that's the best idea. So where's our gas thing? There it is. Where's our nozzle positions? There's the nozzle position. That's burn. That's just off burn. That's burn. That's burn. That's off burn. I think that's off burn. I believe that is our mil power. Right, speed is takeoff time. Whoop-de-doo. Gear up. Dang, this plane's good to fly. Dang. Right, speed, let's get up to 300 and let's retrim for 300 and let's go for 300. Wings on auto. Oh, concentrate. Where's our speed? Where's our speed? There it is, fine. Big heavy gap. I forgot to look at the starting thing, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's 300 knots, let's go. Big heavy gal. This must be the heaviest fighter here, presumably heavier than the flank. I stand to be corrected as ever. Okay, trimming on speed there, a little more. As I keep going, I'm going to have to reduce my... Jeez, we're down to 6 degrees pitch. That's just how it is, though. Nothing I do about that. I mean, how efficient... Oh, I can't talk and fly. How efficient each plane is on mil power is going to differ engine to engine, isn't it? I was watching a video about the Avro Arrow the other day. Really impressive. They managed to get dry thrust of 20,000 pounds in 1957. Pretty amazing. More than this Tomcat, which was 15 years later. Oh, sugar! I've just gone past 32,000. Whoopsie. Okay, let's cut it there. This is what happens when I talk, you see. Well, at the end of the day, we got 1,000 feet higher and 294 knots. So we've overstressed what we needed to do. 17,900. Let's write that down. Starting fuel of 19,000.
Man, you just...
Shut up. 19,900. So 17,000. So exactly 2... Ooh, that's interesting. So it's only burnt 2,000 pounds as compared to the F-15's 2,750 pounds. Now, I wonder why that is. Because this is a heavier bird. Must be something to do with them wings. It must be something to do with... Because of our variable geometry wings, it allows us to fly more efficiently throughout the spectrum, right? So low speed, it gives us our big long wings, means we can fly a lovely low alpha, and the low alpha means low drag, means low fuel consumption. And at the high speeds, we can sweep them back, get low drag, low fuel consumption, and it's still a low alpha because of the speed. So my prediction is that is why we are more efficient than an F-15 in this by nearly 30%. Well, yeah, it is by 30%. So, shit, I forgot to see how far we went. Alright, it doesn't matter because we're going to use an average anyway. So, never mind, that's done. Right, so that's that. So that is the 14. That was the 15. Bonk, bonk. Let's go and try whatever's next. Okay, Hornet. Let's see if I can remember how to fly this. Flaps. Off. Where do I find my mil power? Where do I find my mil power? It's going to be here. RPM, fuel flow, isn't it? Right, okay, so off we toot. Is that burning? No. Whoops. Got a silly takeoff, never mind. That flaps up. Right, 290 knots, please, sir. What? I don't know what that's all about. Right, up to speed, up we go. Oh, this thing's going really well. She's running low on power. Oh, the RPM's gone down. You know what? I'm not too bothered. It works itself out in the end. So we've got what we got? 15 to 40, and we've done 68 miles. So 68. I was going to have just quickly check out the starting fuel again. 17,510. So I can have a calculator. 17,510 minus 15,240 equals. Interestingly, it used more than the Tomcat. 2270 and 68 nautical miles. Just shows how efficient that Tomcat big can be on mil power. Really, really efficient at climbing. Amazingly so. Assuming it's modelled accurately. Right, something different. And it's nice and quiet. My kingdom for some nice and quiet. Right, fuel is there. Hang on, what does that mean and what does that mean? I think that's the total, isn't it? 4,150, that's about £9,000. God, that's small. Look how small it is. It's kilos. Yes, kilos. Right, doesn't have flaps, does it? So let's just get on with it. Where's the speed in this thing? I'll just use that down there. Off we toot. How do I know where mil power is? Because there's a light when the afterburner comes on. Let's go. Never really get to fly this plane, which is a shame because it's a cool plane, but the thing is there's only so many planes you can learn to fly before you just forget everything else, so... Okay, it's about right. So something has to give, and this plane's what's give. Look at the mirror! It's got an F-15 in the mirror at the top. Haha, look at that. That's so weird, right? Right, about 290, 300 knots, and off we go. Trim is a bit funky. I'll sort itself out. Oh, gone past it. Stop. Oh, gone past it by 1,000 feet, and we've gone slightly low speed, but I think they just about cancel each other out, to be honest, because of that sudden jerk I did. So I think that's okay. Right, fuel remaining is 3880. So let's do the calculation. So 4,1. Come on, just do it. 4,150 minus 3,880 equals. What? That can't be right. 3,880 kilos of fuel remaining, right? And we started off with 4,150. So that burnt 270 kilos of fuel. Hashtag something's not modelled right. That can't be right. Let's do a calculation. Anyway, times 2.2 to bring it to pounds. So apparently the Mirage burnt only 594 pounds of fuel, whereas the F-15 was 2,750, which is basically more than 4 times, 5 times, more than 5 times as much. So that just doesn't sound right to me. What do you lot think? That schmeckmer isn't as good as that. Doesn't feel like it's modelled right to me. Anyway, so that's the Mirage, and the distance was... What? 36 miles? That Mirage ain't right. It's one thing, when you do these tests that no one else does, you start to see really big errors in the flight model. We found it in the Tomcat, we found it in the MiG-19, found it in a couple of others. I mean, could a Mirage, bearing in mind it is less power to weight than all of the other fighters, climb within, you know, at the same speed, within half the distance, burning a fifth of the fuel? Could it do that? I mean, it's lighter, I suppose, so maybe, but a fifth of the fuel? Half the distance? Sounds fishy to me. Never mind. But as we all know, I haven't got a bloody clue what I'm talking about, so as ever I stand to be corrected. But that's it. You've seen it with your own eyes. Just double check that. Has it got fuel flow rate in here? I've never understood this gauge. It makes no sense to me at all. But that's definitely the fuel, isn't it? So something to do with the power, isn't it? I'm pretty sure I'm right in that. Stand to be corrected as ever. Right, anyway, let's go to SU, more normal plane. So, we don't really have a proper fuel gauge for this. All we've got is this thing here, which isn't much use. So, what we can do is we'll look at the weight of it now. It is at 65,000 pounds, 198. What we'll do is we'll fly and we'll measure when we get to 32,000 feet. Oh, we've got to convert that now, haven't we? Then we will measure the fuel on the gauge here, and then we will duplicate that amount on the gauge here on the runway, and we'll get a poundage from that. The best I can do. So we've got to go convert now. Google. So the knots are about 290. 540 kilometers an hour. 540 is what we want. Okay, this plane does have flaps, so I've got to bear that in mind. It's got lights for the afterburners. That's all I need, really. It's fully armed. Let's go, Batman. Okay, we've got mill power there. Can't remember when you take it off in terms of speed. God, it feels heavy. Heavy monkey. Big heavy monkey. Big heavy monkey. Feels about right. Gear. Flaps. Okay, speed up to 540, please. So what are these Saturn engines like at mill power? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. 28,000 feet. On speed, 9,000 feet on speed. 30. Come on, you big oaf. 32.5 pound. Right. So what actual figures am I trying to? So distance feels more of a realistic distance here of 50. This is I can climb well. So 27. 51 miles and a fuel burn. All we can do is look at this, and that is 8. So that's 8.2, 8.4. So it's 8.35. 8.35. Okay. So what we'll do now is go back to the ground. Canopy, engines off. Talk to the man. 8%.
Заправка по плану.
Come douche. Yeah, we ain't gonna get any better than that, are we? Our weight of our aircraft is 711. What was the initial weight? It was... I don't know, I forgot to write it down, I guess. So, why don't we just do that? Six, 5, 1, 9, 8. Calculator out. Six, 5, 1, 9, 8 divided by minus 6, 2, 7, 1, 1 equals 2,487 pounds. Much more realistic that feels. 2, 4, 8, 7. It's 51 miles. 2, 4, 8, 7. So that's somewhere between the Hornet and the F-15, and that all kind of feels about right, doesn't it? So that's that. Probably the reason why it was more efficient than the F-15 in the climb is it's lighter, doesn't carry as much fuel. It's got much better wings for climbing as well, much straighter wings. Right, happy with that. One more plane to go. MiG-29, off we toot. I'm getting good at this now, so not really anything to worry about. So off we toot. We're going to have lights for the afterburner, I think. There they are. Off, 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 please. Okay. Off we toot. Oh, I haven't played this for a while. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? Up-sy goesy. The Widowmaker.
103.
Gear up.
Разрешаю руление на полосу 1-3.
540 clicks per hour. Oh, that's another thing we can do. Time to altitude trials. I know we've kind of done it in a straight, you know, in a... I guess we have actually kind of done it. Yeah, we've done it. And this plane won. But it had afterburner on. This plane is a different plane with afterburner on. Oh, she don't like climbing. Either, well, maybe imagining it. Maybe I'm imagining it. Predictions. Is she going to burn high? Is she going to burn low? I reckon burn... Oops, too high. Concentrate, man. 26,000 feet. 290 knots. Oh, I'm getting good at this. Look, stop. 30,295 knots. Perfect. Right. Inspection. 5.2468. So 5.2 and a half. So 5.25. 5.25. 5. No. Sorry. 5. Oh, I'm a retard. 5.6 and a half. 5.6 and a half. Let's go back. Oh, we've got to get the distance. Told you it was crap. 60, well, not actually that bad. So 29, 61, and a fuel burn of Braille. That's it. That's it, guys. That is, might be able to get 1 more percent. It was 79 there, wasn't it? It was that. So it's 39,489 to calculate. 41106 minus 39489 equals 1,617. Okay. 1,000. Oh, hang on, that's kilos. No, it was a pound, sorry. 1,617 sounds more like it. Cough, cough, mirage. Right, so we've now got our... So what we've done is we've finished our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fighters. Is it 6? 6 fighters. We've now got the distance it took them to get up to altitude, which is all different. The fuel that it took them to get up to altitude. So that's that done. Now we're going to average that distance. Those distances. So we can take an average. Which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go 37 plus 51 plus 61 plus 85 plus 68 equals 302. We didn't do the Tomcat, so then divided by 5 to get the mean, and it gives us a mean of, give or take, that is 60 miles. So now what we're going to do is take one of these aircraft and do a landing, a typical landing with a single circuit, and land and measure how much fuel that is going to take. So we've got to do it with, and then all we've got to do is get the average cruise burns, and then we go to the calculating room and we're done. So I'll take this 15 here, look, flying to point. So we're going to put 60 miles out. There he goes. Let's put his waypoint 1 there. Let's put him at 32,500 speed. Do we have a ground speed converter? Better go and do that. So, Google ground speed convert to IAS. Right, ground speed. Ground speed today is the same as TAS because we've got no wind. So ground speed. So a 32,500 feet and a calibrated airspeed, which is IAS, I think, near enough. It's going to be 290 knots. Therefore, the true airspeed should be 470. 470? 470 it is. Doesn't sound right to me, but there you go. F-15, let's go and give it a try. We've got to have him at maximum fuel, so we know what that fuel rate is. Everything else is the same. Oh, it's got to have 50% gas. I know that's technically not perfect because bingo is going to be different to the amount of fuel it takes to take off, but give or take, between friends, I think that's near enough. Save. Okay. I don't know if I could actually land this with full bag. Oh, no, it's half. Oh, I still don't know if I can. Oh, no, because the fuel tanks are meant to be empty, aren't they? Shit. Okay, I can't do this. Got to do it in a flanker. Alright, that didn't work. Let's try the F-14. I can add empty fuel tanks, can't I? So over there you go. Turning point. There. There. 32,500. 470 knots ground speed. And 50% gas, near enough. And the fuel tanks will be empty. That's a cool feature, as it turns out. Save. Right, let's go again. Error. We're at 6,000 feet. Cancel that. Right, should we try that again? How about do what I said and go at 32,470 rather than whatever you want? Is that möglich? I hate it when it bugs. Okay, 32,470. Save. Off we toot. Fly. 12,100. Write that down. Okay, off we go. 50 miles to go. Where's the VSI in this thing? There it is. I don't know what my sink rate wants to be, but let's just keep it feeling nice and comfortable. Jesus, this thing floats. Look at that, it's got no drag at all. Must have my wings back. No, strange. Oh, have we uncovered another error? Maybe. I'm off the gas. I've got no power on, if you're wondering. I'm idle power, so I'm not burning anything. Well, you know what I mean. Not much. Sink rate's too high. We're getting there. We're going to have tallies visuals soon. This is off the 244 for 27. Right, going to have to add some gas. Gone too slow. Where's this devilish runway? It is... It's only 13 miles off the 260. Thereabouts. What the bloody hell is it? Oh, is that it? That is it. Right, in we go. Slow down, you big bucket. This thing does have a problem slowing down, doesn't it? It's caused me a lot of accidents. Right, initial. Stop being weird, please. Supercat, break into circuit. Supercap downwind. Supercap turning final. Whoopsie, that's a bit silly. Okay, fuel is 11,300, so very simple. 12,100 minus 11,300 equals 800 pounds of gas. That cost, right, BRB. Okay, so let's quickly summarise the data we've got so far so we don't get lost with what we're trying to do here. So, regards to takeoffs, we measured the fuel burnt in pounds and the distance travelled. Okay, and this will all, why I'm doing this will all become clear at the end, hopefully. F-15C burnt 2,750 pounds at a mil power climb and took 85 miles to do it. F-14B 2,000 pounds as near as we can measure and took a question. We don't know how long that took. The F-18 2,270 pounds, 68 nautical miles. The Mirage 594 pounds. So something's wrong there. Either I've read that or the Mirage just isn't modelled right in fuel burn, right? Someone support me there. That can't be right. Unless it's some kind of super magical polar bear friendly eco engine. That doesn't sound right. So someone needs to investigate that and see what's going on. Yeah, doesn't. I think you'll all agree. I know people are arguing, but that just doesn't seem right. 37 miles. Again, doesn't seem right. It seems well overpowered. SU-27, 2,487 pounds, 51 miles. Got lovely big lifty wings, so we can get up quick. there are, MiG-29S, £1,617 at 61 miles. So the average miles that it took is 60 or 60.4, but 60 miles we went with. So we then landed an F-14 on a typical approach for 60 miles away at the starting conditions, and that took, as near as we can measure it, £800. It needs to be roughly, to the nearest pounds, or a couple of £100 really. I accidentally gave it 50% fuel. I should have given it bingo fuel. Well, the realistic amount of fuel it would have had at the end of the journey. £1,000, £2,000 something. So that's my bad. Would it make much difference? Probably not. It made maybe £1,000 of difference. £100 of difference. So I'm just going to keep it at £800. I'm pretty happy with £800 there for the scope of what we're doing. So that's that done. Next, we need to go measure the average cruise fuel burn rate for each aircraft at the designated 32,500 ASL 290 knots IAS. And then what we'll do is draw a big picture together, and then we can start plotting our actual possible intercept radiuses. So I'll see you back soon. Okay, welcome back. So we've calculated the amount of fuel it takes for each aircraft to take off and mill power up to our optimized uniform cruising altitude and speed. We've deduced to within, I think, enough detail the amount of fuel it takes to land. So, and how much fuel we want when we get touchdown, our fog fuel. So now all we need to know is exactly, with the configuration specifications we've chosen, at 50% fuel to get an average internal fuel load, what the fuel burn rate is at cruise. Now that's the last bit of data we're going to need. Once we've got that, then we can then go and put all this together in a big summary and calculate what our effective radiuses or radii are. Okay, so I was just about to click go and I realised a problem. Although I set everything to half internal fuel, they will also have their fuel tanks on, which is what we want. We want their fuel tanks on so that we can simulate their drag. We would still have our fuel tanks on at RTB. But those fuel tanks, I can't empty them. They're going to be full. Apart from the Tomcat, which I think I've already got set to empty in this case. I have. Have I? I have. No, I haven't. Right, so that needs changing. So the Tomcat set to empty. And it doesn't seem to be doing it. Let me try that again. Is it doing it? It's not. No, so the Tomcat empty fuel tanks doesn't appear to be working at all at the moment. Fine, so be it. So what I'm going to have to do for all of these aircraft that have fuel tanks, so everything apart from the flanker, is to fly and burn off the fuel that's in the fuel tanks until we are only left on internal, which will be 50% internal fuel, then conduct the test so that we've got the tanks there simulated for drag, but not for weight penalty. So that's how we can kind of keep it scientific, or as close as we can get to scientific. Okay, fine. Actually, measuring the fuel burn rate is it's going to be interesting. The F-15 will just tell us, and I'm happy to use what the gauge says because that's directly out of the game engine. F-14, I can't remember if it has fuel burn, but for aircraft that it doesn't give us a specific fuel burn, a brake fuel burn, then we're going to have to do some trick. So for the ones that it doesn't give us a fuel burn, we'll have to measure the amount of fuel as best we can with the fuel gauge at point A, okay, and we'll mark that point A down. Then we'll travel, say, 100 miles at our designated speed and altitude, measure the fuel as best we can at that point, and that's how we're going to have to get our specific fuel burn rate over that average 100 miles. So, well, it's never easy, but you ask for it, so it's got to be done. So let's just get going. Let's do an F-15 first. Okay, we're in the F-15 now. We've got our game engine statistics down at the bottom here that we can work to. So the first thing is we need to work out what is our amount of fuel without tanks. So what's the thing to do? So logic says let's dump the tanks. And so we want to get to 7,750. So let's spawn in again. This is a laborious process. So we've got to burn ourselves down to, I don't think I can fuel dump, 7,750. So I guess we just burn. Okay, so game engine, we need to go 1,000. Whoa! We're ever so slightly... Oh, it's because I've got my burners on. We've burnt a little bit too much. But we're talking a couple of £100. I think that's close enough between friends. Going to come off the power now just to get down to speed. Okay, at altitude. Just getting the speed level and constant now. Letting the plane settle. Getting a feel for that. Let's get the plane level. Right about there. That feels right. But exactly on 290 knots. 32,000 feet. With bags that are on but are empty. At, 49% fuel, but it's going to be near enough for us. Right, so next we need the fuel flow, which is here, which is interestingly low. But I guess that's because we're just not very heavy at the moment. I've done this right, haven't I? We've got a plane. It's got the fuel tanks on, but they're empty. We can confirm they're empty. The left and right there, those are the wing tanks, I know that. So it's definitely empty. I can't jettison them to be sure. So we've got the drag. We are maintaining 290 knots, or as near as damn it, and we're at the cruise speed. We're perfectly level, not accelerating or decelerating. So yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Right, so fuel flow is 4,150 pounds per hour per engine. 4,150 pounds per hour times 2. Boom, F-15 done. I can't think anything else. We've got no draggy items out. Otherwise, we've got our full loadout as agreed. I think we've got it there, guys. Right, I guess F-18 would be next easiest. Let's go for that. Fly. Right, my good sir. Okay, so concentrate. That's internal. That's total. So we've already got our internal calculated at 5,460. So all we've got to do is burn that number down to that number, and that will be our tanks empty and us on 50% gas, won't it? Yes, it will. So let's go and Bernie. Power on. That's interesting because that number's going up. What was it? 5,460. Oh, why didn't I pay attention in class? Well, I think it's 5,460 still. I can confirm that later on, but better write that down. F-18, 5,460 pounds. Okay, better start getting it up. Altitude and speed. Alright, slow down. Whoops, too high. Right, I've just got to get her settled now in terms of speed. Check for any weird drag. And stop. Whew, right, so we're as near as damn it, £100 out, but we're there. We're at half fuel. We can check that in a minute just to double make sure that is half fuel, but I think we're at half fuel. We're at game engine, 290 knots, 32,500. We've got temperature, we've got fuel flow times 100. Fuel flow times, so 4,500 watts per watt. It doesn't say, and I can't be bothered to read the manual. So that is, it's got to be pounds per hour, isn't it? But why is it more than the F-15? That don't sound right, yo. What have I done wrong? Can it just be less efficient up here than the F-15? Ooh, tough one. Tough one. I was hoping this was going to be easy. Let's have a little bit of a play. Just get a bit more of a feel for it. Okay, we're accelerating, so that might have something to do with it. Powering down and just trying to balance that on 290. Still accelerating. Decelerating. And we've got it right there, look. Right there. Tiny bit more. think that's pretty well balanced. And not going off 291. Feels a bit better. 370. So the F-18 is £3,700 per hour times 2 engines, right? Okay, so that feels about right. 150 for Pratt & Whitney for an F-15, so that's okay. Happy with that. Oh, this is fun, isn't it? Right, let's try the F-14, shall we? This is going to be interesting. What I need was more tea, really. Let's remember how this thing works, shall we? First of all, pow. Yay! Pounds per hour times 1,000. Beautiful. Why has it got 2 bars? Don't think it has. I think that would mean afterburner, I imagine. This means dry. So, okay. So that's pretty simple, right? So let's just get it done. Total fuel is currently 12,000. So that's obviously I've got the bags on, annoyingly. So I need to get to half fuel. So I've got to find out what half fuel is, right? Sugar, and I've got to go and check the Hornet as well to make sure that was half fuel. So I'll hold for 5 minutes. Choose slots. Let's do the Hornet again quickly before me forget. So I'm going to dump the bags and find out what the half fuel actually is. So it's just, I can't remember how to, so just dump everything, shall we? That's us clean, and oh dear, 6 0. How did I get that miscalculation wrong then? So 6,040 is actually it. So it means we've got to do it all over again. How did I do? 300 pounds out. Do I do it again? I suppose I have to. Wow, this is going to be a long video. Choose slot. F-18. Choose slot. F-18. Burners on. Right, we're there. Let's just get in perfect conditions. Double check everything. Up to altitude, now we just need to get the speed. Suppose I should use autopilot really, but screw it. We are bang on there, aren't we? Bang on, I say. Right, and it's exactly the fucking same. What a waste of time. Right, okay, next is F-14. Yay, my favourite. Alright, all the tools we want to help us do things. Where's our VSI? Where's our VSI? Where's our VS? There it is. So we're diving. Up we go, little monkey. Fuel. How far did we get with this? We haven't determined what is half fuel, have we? So we do that by... we can do that by... Just do it the easy way. Stop faffing around. Just dump the bloody tanks.
I can't do that.
I'm sorry, what? You do what I bloody well say, boy.
Roger.
Stop it. Oh, just dump the fucking... Well done, you ape. So... 9,000 is half, so that would give 18,000 as full. Why does that not feel right? Doesn't feel right at all, does it? So that would make... half, 50% is £9,000. That would give a total belly fuel of £18,000. I thought it was 16,000. Well, I've definitely set it to 50%. I've definitely dumped the fucking tanks. So, what else do you want, you know? That's it, it's 9,000. Suck a lemon. Right, let's try again. Right, off we go again. Burn! To the skies. Yay, no real HUD. My favourite. Oh shit, we're getting dangerously close. 9,600. Right, we can come off gas now. Try and get ourselves onto configuration. Automatic wings. Everything's automatic. VSI is all over the place. Okay, we've just got to slow down now. We'll let that do. Stop shaking. Why would it shake at this speed? Stupid thing. Coming up to speed. Retrim. Down, you mug. Down, 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 down. Up, 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 up. No, down. Speed it up, power up. Okay, I guess we're going to burn some more gasoline. Tiny bit more power, I reckon. Tiny bit more power. That's us. That's us, chaps. 3 knots. Still accelerating a fucking thing. But we are heading down slightly. Let's get it now. And then we'll carry on. Testing. So tech, we're at 9,000. Oh, this aeroplane. Oh, you're kidding. Right, let's try that again. 9,000. Reading. Oh, big heavy burn engines. We're currently 4,200. 4,300. So that's the biggest so far, but they are the biggest engines so far, so that makes perfect sense. So let's just carry on a little longer and see if we just get that bang on the money. Leveling out there. Yeah, speed's good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's constant. Maybe a tiny bit more power. How does that feel? Yeah, we got it. We got it nailed there. We got it nailed. And that is... Ooh, 4,400 and... 4,400.1. 4,400. That's 4,600. Come on, babe. 4,450? 4,400 and... 4,450. 4,450. That's a big burn, yo. 4,450 pounds per hour times 2. Fork in it, it's done. Right, that's the easy ones. Let's try the Mirage. I'm sure it's going to be completely unrealistic from what I've seen. Mirage, go! Right. How do you drop a tank in a Mirage? Can't remember. Shit. So, where's our fuel? It's here somewhere. Oh, that doesn't tell me a lot, does it? One of these includes the tank, and I can't remember which. That is a tank plus thingy. Crap in a hat. I'm crapping in a hat. I'm gonna try and dump my tank. That up, that up. None of these. None of these. Give me a goddamn English... Ooh, look at that. Don't know, can't remember. Too long ago since I learned it. Have to do it the old-fashioned way. Oh, is it that? God damn it! I can be... Oh no, it's the wrong thing. That was close though, right? What have I done wrong? Turn that on. So, oh! How intriguing. Yeah! Super Cup to the future! Beautiful. Half fuel is 1580. 1580 M2K. Pew. Right. Burners on. Burn some gas. 1580. Down we go. Whoa. Oh shit, there we go. Okay, at altitude. Just gotta go, oh, we're pretty much on speed. Right, just calm down just a second. Got to burn a little more gas off first. Stop it. What have I done wrong? There we go. Right, just concentrate a minute, man. Get the trim sorted. Fail. Fail my eye. Okay. We're pretty much down to fuel, so just got to reduce the throttle a little now. Ping the trim up slightly. Speed down. Yeah, whatevs, man, whatevs. This is how I deal with that kind of warning. 297 knots, bit more trim. Altitude's bang on the money. So all we've got to do now is get level speed, which we can do no problems. Okay, accelerating. Bit of backstick. Please do what I'm asking and don't ignore what I'm asking. We're stuck on 292. It's pretty good. Pretty sexy time. That's it. We got it, chaps. We got it. Boom. That is our configuration now. Where is our fuel burn? Fuck's sake, don't tell me it's not here. Kilos times 100. What does all this shite mean? Transfer. Remaining. What's that? What does it say? Bingo fuel. What's this? Temperature. Kilograms per. What? Kilograms per what? Mile? Kilograms per mile? Minute. Kilograms per minute. Kilograms per minute? Kilograms per minute. Gotta be. Right? So if it was 27 kilograms per minute and we flew for 1 hour, 27 times 1 hour, so 60 equals 1,600. 1,600 kilos per hour. So we could fly for an hour. Is that right? An hour? It's gotta be. Gotta be kilograms per minute. What else could that be? Let's go with it, chaps. Bloody Frenchies. Pain in the butt. Right, 27 kilos. So kilos, let's times that into 27 times 2.2. So that's 59.4 times 60. 59.4 times 60 is 3,564 per hour. 3,564 pounds per hour, which is pretty much exactly the same as one Hornet engine. Slightly below. Doesn't sound right, does it? Sounds too good. So let's just quickly confirm that with the calculator. That is 27 kilos per minute times 60 equals 1,620 times 2.2 equals 3,564 pounds per hour times 1. Okay. Done. Next. Now here's where it gets ugly. A, to fly, and B, to know what the bloody hell to do. So, have we got kilograms per hour? Russians wouldn't be so sympathising, would they? That is pressure, temperature, RPM. That just doesn't seem to work. Get that bloody stick out of the way. HSI, ADI, flight instruments. Well, that's just great, isn't it? So, we're just going to have to do the best we can. So the first thing is to get to flight configuration, right? So which we're actually at. So we're just going to maintain flight configuration standby. Even autopilot would be muchly appreciated. And I can't remember how to work it. So go figure. I literally can't remember how to work it. See what happens if I press A. It doing something? Question mark? It's leveling me off. It's only just leveling me off. That is a thing of beauty. It's turning me, but you know what? No, I have to go in a fucking straight line, don't we? Okay. Is it going to level me off? That's leveling me off. Woo! Beautiful. Stop. Okay, so what we've got to do now is get the poundage, or the kilos. So we're already at half fuel. We've got no tanks to worry about. So we are bang on 4,600 kilos. So we're at 4,600 kilos of total fuel, okay? We run for 100 miles like this on autopilot, and that's it. And we measure it again. So, here we are. So I'm going to put a tag there. Ping. We're just going to go for 100 miles, I suppose. So the next thing is just to get our speed comfortable. So speed down a little bit. Down a little bit, please. Thank you. We can speed this up, I guess. How about that, chaps? That is easy flying. I should fly the flanker more. This is great. This is easy flying. Easy flying. Okay, so I'll just speed time up more, and literally Bob is your uncle, as we say in England. Gross Britannia. Oh, really? You fucking retard. Right, obviously he wants to do what he wants to do. So let's see how long we've travelled. Obviously he's going to go land the aircraft for us. Obviously. Why didn't I think of that? So, 51 miles. Let's get it even more accurately, shall we? Would it be nice to go for 500 miles to get better data, but so be it. 51 miles. And we've burnt... Why? I can't remember how to work this thing. Hang on, I can. BAP. Let's just take this data just in case we don't get any better. 4,243 is there. So 4,270. 4,270. Let's see if we can get a little bit better data than that, shall we? Let's restart. If you're still with me, then you are crazy as me. Right. Right, just give me... It's not hard. Just give me altitude and roll left alt +2. Left alt +2. Ping. Hey, don't be a dickhead. No one likes a dickhead. Let me have control again. Oh, for fuck's sake, what's it going to do now? Okay, it is actually working, it's just me trying to fight it. Right, so let's start the test now. Scratch that little monkey there. Oh, don't know how to, so just do that then. Check the fuel quantity now. It is... delete that. It is 4,6... Where's my cursor gone? 4,6, 4,8, 4,7... 4,665 is what it is. 4,665 kilos of gasoline. Okay, so all I've got to do is fly forwards in a straight friggin' line. Whatever knots. Some knots. Stop it. Stop accelerating. Bloody machine. Hey, have we got that or have we got that? I'd say we've got that. I know it's going a tiny bit faster, but I'm struggling to control it any finer. Right, don't do anything weird. Just do what we asked. see if I can do a tiny adjustment on it. Because as it gets lighter, obviously, you need to throttle down to maintain the speed. It's a little bit awkward, if I'm honest with you. Pause. Stop. Whoa, that's good data. That is just good data. We got this time there. Right, 181 miles. Happy with that. 181. And the fuel load is 3. Exactly. 3,400. So, back to the calculator. 4,665 minus 3,400 equals 1,200 kilos. And why don't we just 1,265 kilos per 180 miles. Fuck. So this is per miles. And the others were per hour. Forgot about that. But with a known velocity, I think that's okay, right? Let's just... So we can do this. We can do this. So let's try again. 4,665 minus 3,400 equals that amount of kilos per 180 miles. So divided by 181 equals 6.9889 kilos per mile times 2.2 equals this. 15.37569 pounds per mile times 1. Boom. Stick a fork in it. And we want miles at the end of the day, so it's all good. Now, before we go any further, as we've got the speed pretty much bang on here, in fact a tiny bit off, so what we're going to do is I've just got to find that perfect speed quickly. And I want to measure the ground speed. Make sure we get the ground. Stop! Alright, can you give me the ground speed, please? There we go, we've got it 497. So today's ground speed, which is the same as TAS because 0 wind, is 497 GS. So we can actually go and work out the other ones. Pounds per mile now. So we might as well get that done to keep us roughly sane. Or maybe too late for that. So we know that these guys are doing 4,000. So the F-15 is doing 4,000. I know you can't see my calculator, but you just have to go. In fact, we'll do this later so you can check my work. Right, MiG-29. Wow, this is going to be a barrel of AIDS. But let's just do it. Right, first thing to do, dump tanks, find what's half fuel. Right, go. Boom. Way, wrong button. Wait. Sweet, it's afterburning. Pretty sure I didn't ask for that, but... fuel without tanks is 2,300 kilos. 2,000... How about I write it in the right place? Is that going to help? 2,300 kilos. Okay? So the next thing to do is burn down to that with the tanks on and then get to the booby loo. Burner on. Good. This thing is inefficient as shit, so it should be fine. Oh, MiGs. MiGs. I hate MiGs. Could you make a plane any harder to fly? Okay. There you go. Stop. Don't be a retard. Just stop. Where's the VSI in this bowl of... It's got no VSI. Right. Okay. Well, we'll do it by eye then, shall we? That is the speed. That is the altitude there. That's as close as we're going to get it. Press the A button. Please don't do anything weird. A pressed. It's not taking control. Right, press H. H is doing something. H is doing something. Just in the friggin' nick of time as well. And... Oh shit, we're slightly low on fuel, but you know what? I'm getting pretty fed up of doing this, so let's just go with that. Okay, it is holding me at altitude, as weird as it looks, so let's speed up now quickly. Right, so we're 100, we may need to add a small percentage on, but that is there, 2,150 kilos of gasoline. 2,150 50. Okay. So next we need to run some mileage test. So let's go and put him there. That is the MiG-29, which is right over there because it was so friggin' hard to work out. All we've got to do now is unpause. Okay, don't touch anything, just fast forward. Burn, beautiful gas, burn! Speeding up, and it's speeding up because we're getting lighter. I can live with that. In fact, have we actually got a fuel burn rate here? No, we've got no fuel burn rate. Let's go down to bang on 1, shall we? And stop! 1,000. So we've burnt 1,150 pounds per. Oh, you tell me I've gone off the edge. I'm kicking off. I've gone off the edge, haven't I? My favourite. Burner on. Power on. Why don't we go not off the map? Galt. Alright, 1,300 over wie viele. Fucking hell, that went miles. 245 miles. So it burnt 1,300. Let's just double check that because that sounds completely batshit crazy. It burnt 1,300, that's right, over 245 miles. So, that is all the tests done. I can now jump out into Windows. Yay! I've done all the tests, haven't I? Yep, right. There we go. Hail to the king. Okay, so £1,300 divided by 245 mile is kilos, 5.3 per mile times 2.2 is that many pounds per mile, which compared to the F-15 is, the SU-27 is a fair amount less, and it all makes sense. So, MiG-29 is 11.67346 pounds per mile. So now I've got to convert the others to miles. So an F-15 per hour burns that many pounds times 2, because it's got 2 engines. It burns that many pounds per hour. How far does it go per hour geographically? So 8,300. I don't need to write that down. I can do that in my head. We know it's travelling at 497 ground speed, okay? So at 497 ground speed, and that's knots. So when you've got to convert that into miles per hour, nautical miles per hour. No, brain's fucked. It's going this many knots. And what is a knot? A knot is a measurement per hour. Fuck. Yeah, no, got it. Bear with me, everyone. Google. Do not use the search engine. Google is evil, but I'm lazy. For nautical mile to mile? No, I'm such a bellend. Knots to mile per hour, right? So 497 ground speed into miles per hour is 571.937 ground speed miles per hour. Woot woot, that's quite fast. So now we know how many miles per hour we're covering. So all we've got to do is go for the F-15, 8,300 litres per hour divided by 571.937 miles per hour equals 14.51 pounds per mile. So 14.51287 pounds per mile. Okay, let's clear the memory. Is it got memory here? Memory clear? Memory clear? Yep. 571.937 memory in escape, memory read. Good. F18 is £3,700 per engine per hour times 2 equals divided by 571.937. Should just use memory read, so I'm weird. And total aeroplane can do 12.9384879 pounds per mile. Right? I'm not tripping here, am I? So let's just do a rough calculation. My F-15 wants to go 500 miles. 500 miles times 14.5 pounds, whatever, near enough. It's going to burn £7,000 at that cruise. Does that sound about right? It does sound about right, doesn't it? So there's no obvious massive thing gone wrong there. Right. So that's that. Next, F-14, Big Bertha, biggest engines, most powerful engines here. GE, whatever's, can't even remember what they are now. 450 pounds per hour times 2, because there's 2 engines, divided by memory read equals 15. That's interesting. Look how inefficient the flanker is. Must be because of the drag on the airframe. There's draggy wings and shit. That. Done. Put a fork in it. Sweet. I wrote it in the wrong column. That goes there. Mirage does £3,564 per hour with 1 engine divided by memory read equals, wow, can that be right? 6.23145 recurring pounds per mile. And that's all of everything. The others I've already got in pounds per mile. Everything seems okay apart from the Mirage, which sounds really weird, but that may be me tripping. I don't really know. Right, hold fire, and I'm going to put a quick graphic together, and then we will get back together. Okay, welcome back everyone. This is the conclusion of today's experiment. So we'll go over this a couple of times. Once we'll go through and just explain where everything came from, the variables and the constants. Then we'll look at the final results, and then we'll go over it again and look at it with a critical eye and look at the error that we've induced, ascertain, well, have a guess how much that error has accumulated to. And then at the end of that, we'll decide if we want to do another one, another kind of second variation with more error and maybe some more variables added. So let's get started. Here is a terrible graphic I've done, but just to prove what I'm doing here. So first, here's our airbase. First constant we've got is the fog. What the amount of fuel we're going to land with? That's 1320. That is, as of this test, a non-negotiable amount that was derived from a real operational aircraft, not one that's in here, but one that is comparable to these ones we're looking at in DCS. So it's pretty good. We'll look at the errors of that in a bit, but that's that. Next is this figure of 60 miles. So from the runway, threshold of the runway, to the point where we transition to cruise, we decided is 60 nautical miles. The way we got that constant is we measured the optimal way for our aircraft to get with mil power up to our cruise altitude and speed, and we measured, and here are the values, the amount of miles it took for each plane to do that. F-14, we forgot to measure it. Then we took an average of those, and I think it's 60.4. We got rid of the 0.4, and we've got 60 miles. That's that. And there's no real logical reason, but I decided to keep things simple, that on the landing leg, so transition from cruise to threshold would be 60 miles as well, and that's how we did the experiment for that. Brings us on to our landing. That's our next constant, which is £800. The way we got £800 is landing from exactly 60 miles out in a test aircraft, which I did with the F-15B with whatever, the usual setup with empty tanks, I think. And it got this figure here. It got £800 as measured by, you know, to the nearest £100, as shown on the fuel gauge, is how much fuel it took to transition from 32,290 KIS to touchdown, basically, and turning off the engines, excluding idle, I suppose, but I guess that will be included in here. So that's that. And we'll talk about the errors of that in a bit. The next two legs are cruise outbound and cruise inbound, and I've got nothing else to say about that apart from the way this model works is that you get to the outbound cruise, then you don't have any extra fuel for fighting or turning around or whatever, you just immediately go back on the inbound cruise. That's just a limitation of this model, okay? So that's that. So the total intercept radius of this model of our aircraft is 60 plus CR, okay? CR, the stipulations of CR is the cruise is it's 32,000 feet, 500 ASL. It is 290 knots IAS, which is 497 knots ground speed, 571.937 miles per hour. That's that. Next, let's look at these columns. So we've got our aircraft down there. First is this here. It's our calculated, that we've calculated now the cruise, in the cruise, the pounds per mile that the aircraft burns per mile. I'm pretty happy with them. Mirage seems a bit weird, but so I'm good to go with that if you guys are, and I've shown how to work that out. Here's the takeoff pounds. So we took off each aircraft to get up to their mil power, up to cruise parameters, and this is how much fuel it took each aircraft to do that. The Mirage is extremely low and curious, spurious, and I think dodgy. But, you know, I'm just Cap. I don't really know. What do you guys think about that? So it's an interesting number. Next, landing we've done. Takeoff miles we've done. Total pounds. At this point, I realise I'm a dick and I've put the wrong figures in the wrong column. So everything here, just ignore. I'm going to cut quickly while I fix this sheet. Right, sorry about that. So this here is the total pounds of that our aircraft is carrying with the specification that we looked at the beginning of the video, basically pretty much full tanks. And in pounds, it's come straight out of DCS, so that's just what it is. BFM, this is for future expansion. If we decide together, so that means me and you, the viewers, we decide that we want to add some extra fuel on for BFM, so for the actual intercept fight, we'd have to determine how we were going to do that. Like, for instance, the testable BFM would have to have, for instance, 3 split S's, 1 low yo-yo, 1 two-circle turn, or something like that, you know. And then I could go and test each aircraft and measure the amount of fuel taken at whatever the altitude, speed we decide, etc. Currently at 0. In this model, it's 0. Windage, in case we want to expand and add on a reference modifier for windage, if it's blowing 50 knots towards you on the outbound and 50 knots with you for the inbound, I suppose that'll cancel itself out. But you know what I mean. Something we want to think about windage. I know that will get you guys' brain going. This is the cruise pounds. So the amount of cruise available for... this is the amount of pounds of fuel available for the cruise leg. Okay, so that's outbound and inbound. If I click on here, I'll show you how I worked it out so you can error check me. I said it's the total amount of fuel starting with the aircraft minus, what's that, 1320, which is our fog, which is what we've got to have at the end. Added onto our takeoff poundage, which is measured. Added onto our landing poundage, which is measured. Added onto our BFM, which is null. And that is the amount, get rid of that, the amount of fuel available for the cruise outbound and inbound, okay? You can see that's how it is. Hardly anything on the Mirage, look. Weird. Then we've got the cruise miles. This is how many miles, bearing in mind that pounds per mile of the aircraft, that the aircraft can do on basically the size of the cruise. And this is only outbound, this is not inbound. There's only one way. So, to show you what all I've done is I've said it is L31, which is here. So it's the amount of fuel available divided by the amount of pounds per mile the aircraft is measured at, which we've measured at. I'm pretty happy with that. Divided by 2 because we can only go, you know, we're measuring a radius. We only want to go one way. And that's that. So that is the amount of miles that we can go outbound there. Okay, so are we happy with that? No, shit, I've done this wrong. Right, stand by, let me think. No, it's right. It's right. That is the amount of fuel available to do outbound and inbound at that specification, okay? This is how many miles that we can do for that and that at that specification divided by 2, so it's only one way, so it's right. Okay. So this gives at the end of this, the intercept radius with our modelled parameters of each aircraft is simply 60 miles, which is threshold to cruise point, and cruise point to threshold, plus M31, which is the size, the radius, the outbound. So let's have a look at them. F-15C, full bags, AMRAAMs, everything we've shown, 780 miles. 570 miles, it's quite a lot lower. I'm surprised that's so low. It's got quite a low burn rate for F-18. 576, so significantly lower than the F-15C, which is interesting. So one would assume that the F-15C can air-to-air refuel. Why is the F-15 so better than everything else? Is it just the amount of fuel it's carrying? It must be, mustn't it? It's just those 3 bags, isn't it? Mirage 2000, and this doesn't sound right. I mean, the math says it's right. 577, so 580 miles, which is more than a Hornet. But why is it so good? Why is that figure so low? Why is that figure so low? Why is that figure so low? That's saying it burns less than half. So that's saying it burns less per engine than the F-18, yet it produces, I'm probably going to get this wrong, and I haven't researched it, but I thought it produces significantly more thrust than the F-18. So have we discovered a flaw with the DCS Mirage 2000 burn rates here? Or am I being an idiot? I get a feeling it might be somewhere in between. But that, for me, sounds way too high. I guess what we do is we go and compare to the real-life quoted intercept radiuses. The only problem with that is they're going to use, a different model to me. They'll have different variables, different constants, obviously. So we can't compare them directly, number-wise. But what we can compare is percentage, proportional-wise. If an F-15 it says, I don't know, 1,100 miles, then what does proportionally the Mirage 2000 say? So I think that needs looking at, because the Mirage has always been a bit dodgy for me. Nothing's ever seemed quite right on it. Yes, I will get myself in trouble yet again, but I'm not saying I dislike it. It's always been way too good for some reason. Just, not in terms of missiles, but its engine performance and stuff. However, maybe it's that good. Maybe I just don't know anything. So I stand to be corrected as ever. Su-27. Just above the Tomcat. F-18. And that's impressive, bear in mind it doesn't carry any bags. So you're saying to me, oh, but bags create a lot of air resistance. Well, that's all factored out in this model. Air resistance has been factored out in this model. Drag has been, this figure here, as you I spent all those hours this is my second day of doing this, about God knows how many hours. I have done this with the correct drag, okay, or as near as damn it. So this is what it is with the fuel tanks and without the fuel tanks. So the flanker, although it carries, it's just come where it should have come, really, hasn't it? It's just come the same as the Tomcat. It's got the same amount of fuel. It's got the same burn rate as a F-14. Interestingly, it's not as fast and it can't accelerate as hard. But it can climb better, question mark. I've tested if you've watched it for the first time, I've tested all this shit. Spent weeks doing it in the max aircraft performance. All this is tested in DCS, not in real life, you know what I mean. MiG-29, lowest as we thought, but still amazingly good. Bear in mind, this is a frontline, QRA intercept. This is not a long range. This is not a long range Su-27 air superiority fighter. It's done really well, and the reason is because we've taken 3 bags. It's got big bags on it, and actually, when it's out of burner, it's actually quite frugal. You can see down here, it's less than the F-18, which surprises me, but it is what it is. It's also well, it is whatever it is. So 510 miles. If you can live with 4 missiles, which the Mirage is going to get anyway, then that's pretty good, really. I think that's really top notch if you fly it right. So this is all about looking at how to fly the planes right and whatnot. Right, so that's it. We'll look to that. Next, we need to talk about the errors that are in here. Whether we're happy with that, whether we're happy with this, we'll decide roughly how accurate these are, and whether we want to do something a bit more involved, and that'll have to be a group thing, I suppose. So let's start going through the errors. Fog. Well, the fog is just for one particular type of aircraft in one particular type of scenario with one particular type of divert base in mind. So, you know, what do you want to do with that, really? How else are we going to do it unless we just take an average? What we could do is choose a real divert base for all of these aircraft and then go and measure. Well, no, scratch for that. This is for one aircraft, a certain aircraft, okay? And because of this gas mileage here, it would be very different. The Mirage will be much less than 1320. It'll be more like 600 or 700 because it burns less gas, as we can see here. So what we can say is this isn't very accurate at all. This could be 600, 700 pounds out for one plane. So that is a thing to think about. And what is 600 pounds divided by concentrate cap? 600 pounds divided by 6. So that's up to 100 miles out. Error. So already we've got a possible 100 miles of error here, but that's how it is. That's how this model works, okay? I think that's right. I just kind of knocked it together quickly. So that's something to bear in mind. The fog is an inaccuracy. So next, we've got the 60 miles. Is it inaccurate? I thought it was pretty good. I mean, if you saw how I did it with all of them, I did all of them uniform, which is what I want to do. I know each of these aircraft would cruise at different altitudes for their optimal in reality, but I want to keep them all the same. Because that's what I want in my model. In this case, the fog we could have changed, I suppose. And I did them all the same. I kept them at about 300 knots, cruise on mil power. So, you know, each one was bespoke, but each one is accurate to within, you know, plus or minus 5 miles or something like that, I imagine, for, you know, little errors and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy that 60 miles is just about okay. Is landing at 60 miles accurate? Probably not. Don't have a clue, but I don't know. What am I supposed to say? No idea how much a landing would take, so I'm just going to guess it is 60. Excuse me. So that's another inaccuracy there. 800 pounds it takes. Well, I just measured one aircraft, so I know that's not particularly accurate, but how much variation are we going to get, really? A Mirage might be 400 pounds. Difference? Well, how long is 400 pounds in cruise? 400 pounds divided by 6 equals 60 miles error. Doesn't sound right, does it? 100 pounds? I'm working that out wrong. If it's 6 pounds per mile, no, sorry, I'm working that out wrong, aren't I? If it's 6 pounds per mile, yeah, I'm working that out right. So 6 pounds per mile, so that's 400 pounds of gas you got, divided by 6, gives you 66 miles. Well, there you go, there's more error. So if we want to do something more realistic like that, I guess we would have to just land each aircraft again instead of using a constant. So be it. 2NM, what's that? So we talked about that. Next, cruise. Cruise, we've said 32,500 feet, and we know that is not optimal for all of these aircraft. It is an average. So I don't know, I'm not sure what you want to say about that. 290 KIS is what we assumed, as from an experienced source, is what the average would be for a modern fighter or late Cold War fighter. In reality, these aircraft again would all be different because they're all designed different. The FPAS page would tell us on the F-15, but the rest of us, we wouldn't know. We'd have to experiment, and with, you know, there's only so many days I can do this for, so it's a constant basically. But there is another inaccuracy. Total poundage, that assuming DCS is accurate, then that's accurate. BFM, well, there's no error, but we just haven't included anything. Windage, no error. That is just maths. That is just maths. That is just maths. So that's it, really. If we wanted to add that and that, we'd have to talk about it. If we wanted to fix up those other errors, which could accumulate to about 150 miles by the sounds of things. I mean, that would be a worst case scenario, but it's something that may need thinking about. So I'm going to leave that with you guys to think about that. Pick any more holes you want to pick in. Look for any errors that I've made. I'm sure there are some here and there. and see what we think the end accuracy of that is, and what figure. Yeah, I reckon that's probably pretty accurate. I reckon if we went and flew these aircraft, if you could be bothered to fly for 700 miles without taking autopilot off and doing everything else, I bet that's plus 20 or 30 miles, which is the only kind of accuracy you want anyway, really. I reckon they're pretty accurate, but see there. Right, let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly, well, kind of did. And I will see you later.